are the Prize, the podcast. Harvey's your host, and that's me. How are you? Hope you're having a good day. It's weird, like my headphones don't want to work, so this is the first time I'm not doing this with headphones. And I'm looking at myself, and I look all strange. My head is all, yeah, it's going to be a random conversation. But nonetheless, I hope your week is great. If you know me, you know this is not my first podcast. This is like the second one. The first podcast that I started that I'm still doing is one with my wife, and it's called Love is Black with the hot wife Carice. That's the podcast. That's what got me started in the podcast game. And we talk black love, we talk with couples, whatever. We talk with friends, what about, about anything that revolves around black relationships and love. And we're still in the midst of season 4. And while we've been doing it, we had a pretty cool group of people we spoke to. And they have the podcast called He Said, She Said podcast. And it's 3 friends,
Yeah.
nobody in a relationship or anything, just friends talking about relationships and hard questions and such. And one of them is my guest this week, and that is Byron Jackson. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me, man.
No, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. So first, I'm gonna read your bio, and then I'm gonna ask you a question or two. You give a little people a little something about the podcast, and we'll get started.
Okay.
Byron is a 40-year-old single black male born and raised in Iowa with no kids. He works as a FedEx courier and started a podcast with childhood friends to raise awareness and promote uncomfortable conversations so people can get real to heal. I like the real to heal thing. We may talk about that. I like that. So I think it's interesting. But real quick, so tell us a little bit about it. Who are your friends and kind of what's the genesis of the podcast getting started?
Okay. Basically, it is comprised of myself, my friend, EC, who's like our producer, and Mo Love. We all grew up together. We born and raised here in Iowa. We went to the same church. Didn't necessarily go to the same school, but I mean, we've known each other pretty much all our lives, interacted with each other since we were babies. And I mean, basically, me and Mo Love was just having a conversation one day, like we always do. She comes to me about things she's dealing with, and vice versa. And she was just like, you know what? We start a podcast. And I was like, okay. I mean, even though I'm myself not necessarily experienced with podcasts, I've never really listened to one or anything of that. But I mean, I was with it. I'm always open to trying new things, new experiences, and it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot about myself as well as other people and other, topics. So I think it's going pretty great, actually.
All right. Excellent. That's good. So you guys are on Love is Black, and we had a real good conversation because it wasn't a typical one for us. We typically have
Right.
couples. But what we had instead were friends. And in particular, what made it interesting, it was male and a female friend. And that always leads to questions. Like, y'all
Yes, of
friends,
course.
how come y'all just friends? Why nothing happened? Blah, blah, whatever. And then I think that's kind of where our conversation went because
Right.
it's interesting to see 2 people who are friends, which clearly like each other and can discuss subject matter, but never connected. So, my first question for you on those lines is, do you think having, and let me just say with no disrespect, a beautiful and intelligent co-star on the podcast as Mo, has it hindered you in your own relationships?
Not at all. I mean, I anytime I enter in a new situation or a potential relationship with any lady, I'm always quick to tell her, hey, listen, I have friends who she's like a sister to me. I mean, we like I said, me and Mo Love Morgan, we've known each other since we was like kids. So I mean, it's just never the relationship never evolved or went that way. It's always been more like a brother sister relationship, like nothing sexual, nothing romantic, nothing of the sort.
Right.
So I think I will say a lot of times people do sometimes take issue with it because I think a lot of people feel as if men and women can't be strictly friends, which I personally don't feel as that's the case, and I also feel like it's very healthy for men and women to have friends and just specifically be friends, and that's it. I mean, I look at it as an inside track, with the opposite sex as far as how they're thinking, their thoughts, their feelings, anything of the sort. But no, it doesn't hinder me at all. Like I said, that's little sister right there. So, I mean, if anything, it might uh, slow her down a tad because I'm like big brother,
Right.
and I don't play that. So I mean, if you're gonna come correct because
Okay.
you got big brother to contend with. She got two brothers of her own, but we all like family. So she got three brothers behind her. So if you on some crazy stuff, just be careful.
Understood. And
Right.
that's got to be good for her. There's nothing I think it's probably people, I don't know if people really believe it or think it, or maybe there's this misconception, but we support our women. Black men
Right.
love our women to the death. You will not mess with our mother, aunt, sister, girlfriend, wife, whatever. So it's got to be, I think I don't know if she would even say it, but it's got to be reassuring to know that she's got people behind her. And if something went down, it will be handled by the men in her life, which I know I take pride in that. I got a wife, I got three daughters, and there's women everywhere. But
Right.
I think and I think it's a source of pride for us too. Like that's my people. I'm supposed to take care of her. That's what I'm raised to do as a
Of
man.
course.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's a man's nature to protect.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless if it's their mother, their sister, their aunt, grandmother, wife, girlfriend, or whatever the case may be, it's still in his nature to protect. So, I mean, I think that kind of plays into that role as well. So,
Okay. I agree with you entirely. Okay. All right. So we got a little bit of, little inkling into the relationship in terms of the podcast. So let's get into Byron. Let's get into B person.
okay, okay, sure.
Right. If you listen or watch this podcast, you know what this is. Prize is my favorite word. I take letters from that word and they represent characteristics. From there, questions are asked and we go from there. The first letter in the word prize is P. The word is purpose. Purpose is
Purpose.
defined as the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. So what is your purpose, sir?
My purpose. I feel like, especially with the podcast starting, I would say my purpose. I would just like to reach whomever I can reach, help, whomever I'm able to help. I like to think that if I can touch anybody's life in any sort of positive manner, and just leave a good impression and good fingerprints, just something to whether it's motivation or inspiration or anything of the sort. I just want to be able to, spread good vibes that can cultivate and grow and, you know, in turn it builds, karma and return my way as well. So I'm just trying to help any way I can, inspire any way I can, help grow, spread wisdom, knowledge, anything that I can do to help make anybody's life better, easier, whatever the case may be. I'm 100% for it.
Okay, that's good. Um, what do you think? What kind of wisdom do you give to men? What kind of wisdom do you specifically give to Black men? So you do this podcast and you
Yeah.
have uncomfortable conversations with another man and another woman. What kind of wisdom? What am I going to pick up from you specifically if I listen to an episode of this podcast? What are you giving back to me?
I mean, at the end, I don't. Well, I just want men to just. I think I've learned to be more honest. Uh, Definitely being in touch with your feelings. And I've recently learned you got to be able to create a safe space for that woman in order for her to be able to operate within her feminine energy. And I think that with that being said, having the ability to protect, provide, be honest, and just be real. Like I think a lot of times we see so many different things on social media, especially how the way celebrities are portrayed, and we typically lose our authentic self, trying to emulate or imitate what we see on the TV screen or via social media, and you lose touch with yourself, your real self. And I think we spend so much time trying to be what we're not, then that leads to miscommunication, and then that break in the a never ending cycle of just a lot of drama and hurt and unhealing, as my lovely co-host always says.
Okay.
So
Okay. You've mentioned honest a few times, and I like that word. Now, when you said you think you've learned to be more honest, do you mean being more honest with yourself or being honest with the opposite sex in terms of relationships? Where has the honesty improved for you?
I think the level of honesty improves when the level of awareness is up. So, like, I think with me specifically, um, I'm honest with myself to the extent, like, if I know I can do something or if I know I can't do something, I'm able to admit that. Or if I'm at fault for whatever reason, I think the higher awareness that we have within ourselves, then you're able to admit when you're at fault. Because a lot of times, as men, we can be prideful and we don't necessarily want to admit our faults like that because it can come off as weak. But I I think there's a sense of strength in being able to be honest and being aware and being able to admit your faults. Because I mean, if you can't even be honest with yourself, how can you really be honest with anybody else at that point? You know what I mean? So, but I mean, I don't know. I just feel like so many times people try to be more than what they are, and then they live by this false narrative that they've created, and you really lose yourself.
Okay.
So
Do you think you know yourself fully right now? Are you at a point in your life where you know exactly who B is? Or is there still a search or a journey for that guy?
I would say I'm pretty comfortable within myself as far as knowing who I am. But I will say it's a never ending journey. I'm always getting to know new aspects of myself. I'm getting to know new characteristics or new things that I may be into that I wasn't at first or didn't necessarily know about. Or at the same token, finding faults, or things that I need to work on to improve. I think it's always a process that's never ending, you know, uh, and which is a good thing because I'm like, if you ever feel like you're perfect or you 100, yet that's not the case. There's always room for improvement. There's always something to work on, and I think with that mindset, it also keeps you humble.
Mm.
So and yeah, because I'm not the type of person to really be full of myself or anything like that. So I like to stay level headed, down to earth, just real chill.
Um, were you talkative? Were you, I mean, obviously, let's rephrase. Were you or are you, no, let's just say, were you comfortable growing up? Were you comfortable talking about your emotions with, I guess, whomever, whatever parent or adults around you? Did you have that kind of relationship with somebody who you could talk to about things?
Um, I would say I had the people around me to talk to if I so choose to.
Mhm.
Uh, I think with me though, I've always been a private person, so I've never really been one to really uh, express my emotions like that, or even if I'm going through something to talk to people like that, I would much rather handle it on my own. So that's one thing that I've really been working on and trying to improve because it's not healthy trying to take on the world by yourself. You need people in your corner to help support you. When you're down or when you're going through something. So that's one thing that I've really learned because depression can be rough, and I mean I've had my bouts with it, but I feel as if I was able to dig myself out of it, you know. But I'm better about that now. But when I was younger, I can honestly tell you, no, I I kept to myself. I didn't let too many people know what was going on with me. So but I'm much better about that now. That was one thing I realized about myself that I had to change.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, depression can be, yeah, I of course I also have dealt with my bouts of depression. And as men, it's almost taboo to even talk to somebody or to
Yeah,
say that's not it. Yeah, and like you mentioned, and you even said the word weak, and like it's sad that doing or saying anything in reference to your mental health can be perceived as weak. But sadly, a man talking about what's going on, some people will take it as, just be a man about it, just, rub,
right.
rub some dirt, keep it moving type of thing. And I think we're getting to the point, we're getting better where a man's mental health is important and is acceptable to talk about it. So it's good to hear that you're improving, and it's important that not only do you improve, but you've got people around you who support it. Because I think that's as big a deal as you working on your own. Because the people
Of
around you
course.
support it, then it's hard to do something where you feel like it's wrong. Because nobody, somebody should be saying, good for you, man. You recognize your struggle, you recognize that. I'm assuming as an adult now, you have that support, people around you who are comfortable in watching you grow mentally and emotionally. Is that something you have the benefit of?
Yes, I mean, I've always had it. You know
Okay.
what I mean? I
Mhm.
just haven't. I just never took advantage of it.
Right.
I was more or less. I've always was the type of person where I've never liked to ask for help. So it's like if I'm struggling with something, I'll be like, well, I'll figure it out.
Mm.
Like I would never. There'd be times when my mom, when I was younger, my mom would have to tell me and just force me to accept her help. Because I guess in my mind, I kind of associated that with a weakness or not being a man because you can't handle your own problems. And I like that's a mindset I had to change as well because I'm just like, everybody goes through something. Everybody has weak moments. You can't be strong all the time. You know what I mean? So that was something that I had to accept. And I had to learn from. And now I don't have no problem asking for help. That's not an issue anymore, especially if I really need it. I mean, of course, it's got to get to a situation where I really need it,
Right.
but I it's not so taboo to me anymore to ask for help. I'm comfortable within myself to be able to ask for help.
That's good. That's good. And that's a big step for men. It is a very big step for men because it's not, I don't know if it's not in our DNA, but it's not in how we're raised. So asking for help seems almost, I don't know, it's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be
Right,
there. We're not supposed to get it. At least that's
right.
as a father and a husband. That's how it feels to me at times. Um, you mentioned your mom. So I have a question.
Mhm.
How being raised by your mom, and take a moment to kind of contemplate this, and it doesn't just have to relate into getting help or being comfortable talking about emotions and such, but is there anything about being raised by your mom that helped you and your masculinity? How did being raised by your mom help you become the man that you are today? I know you mentioned taking help and being able to ask for it. Is there anything else about you as the man that you are now that has helped you in terms of your masculinity and the man that you are walking around today?
I think mainly just having a newfound respect. Because my mom was single. Single. My dad left when I was probably in elementary school and really wasn't around for a good solid 20 to 25 years of my life or more. So, I mean, I can't really sit here and say she helped me become a man because in a sense, I don't necessarily think a woman can teach a man how to be a man.
Mhm.
But where I can give her 100% credit is she found men around like through church and put me in their presence to help me become a man. It's like she knew. I don't know if she necessarily knew she couldn't necessarily. teach me how to be a man, but she put me around good men where I would have good examples as far as how to be a man and things of that nature. But I mean, I do also feel as if, with that respect, it showed me how to treat a woman. As far as being in a relationship, things that they need, then the struggle that they go through, and trying to be attentive and understanding, with a lot of the things that they deal with on a day-to-day basis, especially being a single mother with kids, having to work 2 or 3 jobs and still being able to provide and cook meals and make sure we get to school and practices and all that stuff. So I mean, it really shed light on how strong and how the women are. And I think a lot of times they're taken for granted in that situation, because it's just like, oh well, that's what you're supposed to do, and you're in that situation, you put yourself in that situation, but when that's not necessarily the case, you know. But I mean, I owe a great debt of gratitude to my mother. I mean, she has definitely molded me into the person that I am today, and she put me around men that are strong, God fearing, and just really instilled in me my worth ethic, morals, everything. I mean, these are men in my life that, like, um, I strive to be like every day.
Good. That's good. And it's, I'm not a particularly religious person, but it is a blessing to have good support.
Yes,
And obviously, in terms of parents, whether it's a mother or father, somebody to show you the way, or if they can't show you the way, show you somebody else who can show you the way. It's good. The environment, who we're surrounded by, is so important as we're growing
yes.
up. So it's excellent that you've had people like that. The next letter in the word prize is R. The word is resilience. Resilience is defined as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. So I want you to take a moment and consider this. Can you think of a particular situation, something that has happened or did happen in your life, where you discovered you had a resilience that you didn't know you had?
uh, well, that's not hard at all. I can tell you right now. 2020 was a rough year for me. Uh, I would say, first off, made some poor choices. And like I said, we established earlier that I work for FedEx as a carrier,
Mhm.
and man, made some poor choices, and was driving under the influence and got busted for that. So then, in turn, I ended up losing my position. So that was definitely a big hit. I would say maybe a month later, ended up breaking up with my girlfriend of 5 years. So that hit me pretty hard as well. And then on top of that, uh, we had some historic crazy weather, which we had a derecho, which is like an inland hurricane, which is nuts because I've never heard of it or anything. Ended up having a nice sized tree branch fall on my car, and insurance decided to toll it out. So in probably about a matter of a month and a half, I had lost my job, I had lost my girl, and I had lost my car.
Oh my God. Wow.
And I mean, it was rough. It was very rough. Um, but I mean, I think in essence, I realized that I'm just like, I did play a part in my demise with a lot of those things. I mean, outside the card, I mean, that was kind of a random act in itself. But I mean, the relationship, as well as losing my position, I really had to first own up to the fact that it was my fault. I made some of those decisions and those choices that led to those consequences. And I think once I was able to own up to those situations, it sort of made it easier to try to start to build, on from that. But one of the things that I always talk about is awareness and accountability. Those two words are huge with me. And I think when you have those two, I think then you're able to be resilient in your efforts to bounce back from whatever may have happened to you. So I mean, it was a long recovery period for a couple of years, but I'm happy to say that I'm driving again, and I am making probably about $8 more than what I was making previously when I first started being a carrier. Uh, my grandpa, God rest his soul, he gifted me with his car, so I have a working vehicle. I don't have a car payment, so that's a blessing in itself, which allows me to get some of my bills paid off. And I mean, I'm in a position now where I'm excelling and starting to reach a lot of goals that I had planned for myself in the short term. But I mean, in that resiliency, I think it's huge to be positive and remain positive. I've realized that it's easy to be like, "Woe is me," and you get down on yourself, and then you can let that depression get the best of you. But I always found that in spite of what's going on, I tell myself it could always be worse, and so I'm just going to play with the hand that I was dealt and keep it moving and keep thinking positive and keep, thinking that in the end, once I get my chance, I'm not going to mess it up. I'm going to take full advantage and do better. And I just keep that's like one of my I don't even know if I guess you can call it a self affirmation if you want, but I just knew that when my time comes, I was going to do great. I just needed that opportunity. But I think that because that was a rough time in my life. That it was hard dealing with and getting through. But I mean, I feel like it built character. It really humbled me, and I learned a lot from that to be able to bounce back from that situation because like that's probably one of the lowest points in my life, to be honest.
I can imagine. So 5 year relationship, and then that ended. I guess not the best of decisions. How you are you at the point where given the opportunity, ready to dive back in and try again, or are you kind of after that relationship? Where's your mind and your heart after something ending a 5 year relationship with someone?
Uh, Closed off.
Mhm.
It's it's in an indestructible steel cage or whatever the strongest material is in the world. That's what my heart is in currently. I would like to think that I would maybe one day be open to a relationship again, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna make any promises. I
But
think that's just not my focus
you-
right now.
okay,
Huh?
oh, that's not your focus right now. Okay, okay. What is your focus right now?
I think my focus right now is just getting my life back on track. Um, uh, a 40-year-old man, I'm not where I want to be in life. And so I think that's my strongest motivation right now is to to get to where I feel as if I should be in my life. So I mean, maybe one day I'll be open to a relationship, but right now I'm just focused on me. I've never been selfish in my life, so it's like I'm being selfish and I'm thinking about me and I'm putting me first and I'm doing the things that I want to do that I've never done because I've always, you know, had my girl's best interest or I may have been having this friend's interest at heart, but I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to do me and I'm going to focus on me. And then once I get to where I want to be at that point, if I might want to consider being in a relationship again, you know, I we'll see. I mean, it's not that I'm completely closed off to it. I mean, I talk to people, I get to know new people, but at the same time, I tell them up front of where I'm at. right now, because I don't want to mislead you or make you feel as if I played you or anything of the sort. So I like to be honest up front, and let you know where I'm at. Now, if you choose to continue to want to hang out, talk to me, get to know me, I mean, hey, you might chip away at the armor, but as of right now, the way that relationship ended, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I mean, it wasn't necessarily a bad breakup, but I just the way I processed it was when you put your all into something and it doesn't work out, it's kind of deflating and it's just it's I can't even think of the word I want to use, but it's defeating in a
Mm.
sense.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, why do I want to put myself through that hurt again potentially? So in my mind, you can't get hurt if you don't put yourself out there like that again. And that's not the healthiest way of thinking, and
Right.
I know that. But I'm sure, like I said, it'll change in time. But I'm just gonna do me for now, and
I hear
I
that.
don't need I don't need a distraction. I just put it like that.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Was that the first time you had? I mean, I don't know how it ended, but is it fair? It sounds like it's fair to say that, broken heart when that relationship ended. Was that the first time you had a heartbreak in terms of relationship, or was that like the bad one in terms of your history?
Now it's not the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I will say it was my longest relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think this one hurt more simply because since I'm older and more mature.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there was more emotion involved. I invested so much more. Whereas my previous heartbreak, I was only 21 years old. I knew or at least I thought I knew, as far as a relationship. But going back to then compared to now, this one hurt more. Definitely hurt more.
I hear that. Your heart is not, I don't, in my humble opinion, your heart is not in an indestructible box. I don't think that's the case. What I think it is, it's right now it's on standby. Love is like it's going to be a flight, but the plane hasn't landed, it just hasn't left yet. You're just
Yeah.
waiting for the right pilot. I think what it is, you've gone through some stuff and we all have. And it's like, why do this again? That's what, life and love, it's just that risk.
Right.
If nothing else, it's a risk. And like, do I want to do this again? Like, I did all this. This might have been the one. I had visions of the future, this, and it doesn't work out. And you're just kind of sitting in that, damn, I thought this was going to be the one and it doesn't work out. Do I want to put myself through that again? And I feel like you just haven't, I feel like somebody's going to pull up on you that's going to be, and you're going to be like, I think it's coming. And not that you're searching and not that you don't think it's going to happen, but I think that person just hasn't shown herself to you yet. Because I think we all at some point deserve to be happy. And I think I'm not to say you're not even happy now,
Right. Right.
but you're finding yourself, you're taking care of yourself, but it's better with somebody who can kind of appreciate it with you. And I think you know that. You've been in a
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
So you're open to the possibility to a relationship. You don't see it now, but it could happen, right?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, that's why I use the word retirement, even though my two co-hosts don't like it. But I think retirement, it could be permanent if you so choose, or it could be temporary as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I always say, Michael Jordan retired from
Mm-hmm.
basketball, and then he came back and won three more rings. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I tell folks, I'm like, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Right.
But like I said, I think I have other things that have my undivided attention right now, and I think being in a relationship may shift my focus more than what I would want it to. And that's just speaking in terms of me because I know how I am when I'm in a relationship. I'm a giver, and I'm gonna make sure you have whatever you need. And if I don't got it, I'm gonna find a way so you can get it tight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now that's not something that I can do just for the simple fact that, like I said, I am really focused on me and getting myself to where I want to be, to the point where when I do decide to, be open to a relationship again, it's like I'm at a point where I'm like, this is what I'm bringing to the table, and I'm confident that like I can be the man that I want to be, and within that relationship. So in essence, I just need somebody that's gonna match my energy, so we can build together, pretty much.
Feel you. I feel you. It's coming. And I'll be happy to see you running around taking care of somebody and being taken care of also. Because I can hear it. You that kind of dude to make sure your girl's set, everything's taken care of. But as a man, we don't always expect that in return. And we don't
Right.
always get it. So not that I'm the love doctor or anything, but make sure whoever's lucky enough to get with B is giving that same love back to you. I can see you that super boyfriend. Make sure she's just as good, man. Don't let that slip.
Uh,
Yeah. Let's skip the I. We'll come back to it. The next letter in the word prize is zeal. Z stands for zeal.
mm.
Zeal is enthusiastic devotion. Putting your family aside, friends, and I guess the work that you do. What are you enthusiastically devoted to now?
uh, I would say uh, I'm devote building. Like, and when I say building, I say building my future, building my finances, just building my character. Everything is. I like to use the term. I'm under work. I'm under construction, and it's just like I have this visualization of what I want, where I want to be, who I want to be, what I'm striving to be, and I feel like things have finally taken a turn for the better. And so and then when you finally see some results, some positive results from the hard work and the labor that you put in, I think it motivates you and it inspires you, and it makes me more enthusiastic. So I'm just looking to build. I'm looking to build and add to, build onto my life, build up on other people's lives. I want to see everybody win. I don't want to just win myself. I want to see everybody win. So, but that's my biggest thing, is just building and just good vibes, positivity. That's what I'm about now, and I'm about good energy always. That's I want to be able to leave my mark. Like I want people to be like, man, that's a good dude right there, or it's like, wow, he really you know what I'm saying. I want somebody to have something. Anytime you come across me, meet me, run into me, have a conversation with me, I want to leave a positive impact somehow, some way on your life, no matter how big or small it is.
I talked to a lot of men, and one of the men that I spoke to recently, and he was talking about life, and he was talking about when he dies, when he's gone, he wants to die empty. And when he said that, he means he wants to give everything of himself, everything, his help, his spirit, everything about him, so that when he's gone, there was nothing left of him to give. He helped everybody around him. He supported everybody around him. When he's gone, when people think about him, like that guy was helpful. He cared about people. He loved people. He gave everything he had to humanity, to his family, to his wife, to whatever. And that sounds like you. You want to leave a lasting impression. And eventually we're all going to pass. But
Right.
when you leave, you want people to remember you for the good spirit, the positivity, the energy, everything that you give. I like that phrase. And hearing you talk about that, I like the idea of dying empty, which means I gave it all. You got everything I had while I was alive. So when I pass, it's just kind of a body that's gone, but you got everything that I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to leave a lasting legacy. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Mhm.
That's huge to me. And it's not so much for the, acknowledgement or anything like that, because I don't need to brag about what I do, and I don't necessarily want attention either. You know, I just want to, do what I do and behind the scenes and just keep it moving. and just know, hey, I inspired that person to be great, or I helped him do better. I helped build them up. And I don't need no accolades or nothing like that. I just want to, you know, leave a lasting impression, a great legacy, and just be like, man, that's a great guy right there, or that's a great dude. Without me having to go out of my way. Look at me, look what I'm doing. No, sometimes that comes off as phony to me, and I don't. And plus, I'm not big about attention in either. I don't need all that. Just you know, but
Well, I know you're not looking for the accolades, but allow me to be the first. You good brother, got there doing things. You've gone through some stuff, but you came back stronger than you were before. I applaud you. You on the rise. Good stuff is on the way. So take these flowers, go plant them. We don't always get them. You good man, and bigger things are coming. Um, I always like to try to. We don't get accolades much. We
yeah,
don't get praise much. It's another thing that's kind of being a man. It's not in our DNA. We don't expect it. I've heard, phrases like the first time a man gets flowers is at his funeral. It's little random stuff like that. And when I thought about that, I've really tried to do my best to make when I'm out, if I walk and I see somebody, to say something good, something happy, positive to a man when I see one. Because he probably isn't going to be like, brother, oh my God, like that t shirt, I'm feeling you, the cut, you look good, whatever. Little things like that are the things that can make a really good impression on a man.
right,
Because we hear that we praise and we um, say wonderful things to our women all the time. I think it's just in our nature, but it's almost take a look at the man next time you say something positive to him because it's almost surprising. It's like, wow, where really? You think so? And it's a good way to start the day, and it's a good way to spread the love to our men because we definitely all need it from whomever. And I think it's even better when a man says it because I'm like, all right, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. It's something to take with you for the day. So, um, the last letter in the word prize is E. The word is expectation. Expectation is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. You obviously are working on your future. You're building, like you said, emotionally, financially, spiritually, all these things. It's 2023. In 2030, what do you expect from yourself? Where will you be? What will you have? What is there something that you want to have or something that you want to do or something you want to have completed, let's say 7 years from now in 2030?
hmm, that is a very very good question. Uh, that provokes a lot of thought. Because I've been so much focused on the here and now that I haven't necessarily thought about the future as far as that far ahead. Um, I will go out on a limb here. I would say I would like to think that I would expect to be moved out of Iowa. That, I think that is the biggest thing that I am striving for currently. It's gonna have to take some big things to happen here to get me to stay,
Mm.
and that's gonna have to be a position that pays so well and it's better than what I'm currently in. That makes me think, well, maybe I have to stay here a little longer.
Mm.
But I definitely expect to be out of Iowa. I think that is the biggest thing on my agenda. I think I've had opportunities in the past, but never took advantage of them. And that's from leaving Iowa to go to college or just moving when I was younger, and had more margin for error in my life at the time. But like I said, I think I'm being selfish, and I think it's a good thing and it's a healthy thing for me. And I wanna move. I wanna experience more. I know there's more to life than what I have experienced and dealt with here in Iowa. I don't know how much you know about Iowa, but I mean, there's not a whole lot here, culture wise. I mean, it's not a bad place per se.
Mhm.
I would, if I had a family and kids, this would be an amazing place, to have a family. But being a single man with no kids, uh, it doesn't have a whole lot to offer in that regard. And I know there's more to life, and there's more experiences, and there's more culture, there's more things to see and do. And I almost feel like Iowa may be holding me back from doing great things potentially.
Mhm.
I don't know. I could be wrong about that because I know God has a plan, but I feel like I might have more opportunity to expand and do bigger things elsewhere.
Okay.
So, and that's what I'm really looking at. And I mean, especially my career, it's I can transfer anywhere, and I can transfer to a bigger uh, facility that may have more opportunities. And so I'm just trying to uh, go somewhere where I can increase. You know.
Okay. Okay. Well, I can tell you where I am. I am in Florida, and there's plenty of space for you in Florida. I don't know if I would suggest you come out here. Florida is is to say the least. We have a governor who's not a fan of African American studies right now, but
Right.
but the weather's nice. I'll say that.
Yeah. It is. It definitely is.
It's beautiful, especially now when you could appreciate that since you just in some snow. But I think you're going to succeed wherever you go. But I guess the opportunity, something's going to come about. You're like, this is that sign that I needed to head out and go do something, and I guess it'll come about. I'm going to go back into technically the last letter in the word prize because I always skip the I.
Okay.
It doesn't represent a word because it represents the person, the man that I'm talking to.
Hmm.
If we take off the titles, the shackles, which would be best friend, podcaster, employee, best friend, Iowan, all these things, all the stuff that we kind of thrown upon us. When you take all those shackles off and it is just you at your core, who are you?
Hmm. That is another a very thought provoking question. I would like to think that I am an authentic, real, down to earth black man. I That's capable of doing great things. I like to that, and that's positive. I think that's the key. I gotta throw that out there. I'm pushing positivity. That's my other thing is I want to push positivity because the more positivity you have in your life, there's less room for negativity. But I am an authentic person that's real. That's gonna always give you 100% real all the time, whether you like it or not.
I like that. That last line, that was the phrase. That was it. Excuse me. Thank you for answering the questions in the prize mantra. I appreciate it. I got a few last questions for you.
Okay.
First question is this. I'm trying to think you know what? Let's just do this. When I talk to men, there's like really two questions that I ask because the reason I created this podcast is because I wanted the whole safe space for men to be open and to speak emotions,
Hmm.
life, whatever, feel comfortable doing it. But within those conversations, a few things started to become apparent. So my first question is, what do you do for you to self-soothe when life is hard, when life is struggling, when the weight of paying them bills or going to work when you don't feel like it, or maybe currently not, in a relationship, but working on you when you might feel like you're not in depression, but you're depressed. When life is kind of hitting you, what do you do for you to kind of forget about life for a while? What's your thing?
Ah, man, I think with everything in life, there always has to be a sense of balance. So anytime things get difficult, or I'm working too hard, or life seems to get the best of me. I want to do something that's going to be fun or enjoyable or something that I can release so that all that bad energy is gone and I can feel, and recharge the battery. So even if it's something simple as watching my team win, because currently my 49ers are playing tomorrow.
Okay.
So
Okay.
as for a chance to get to the Super Bowl,
Mhm.
if it's something as small as that, or if it's just going to the gym, getting a nice little workout in, I always call those sessions my gym therapy. Because I mean it is proven that it does releases all those good hormones and things that helps improve your mental health and things of that nature. Or sometimes I just might need a day or two, just a break. If take some time off, go do something fun and relaxing. Or even if it's just not going to work and just sitting home watching a movie and playing a game on my phone. Like any little small thing in life that brings me joy or just I'm content. Like I'll do it just to because we all need that thing that is gonna okay, let me relax a bit because I've been going hard in the paint. So let me chill out for a bit, gather myself so I can keep going, you know. And then not only that, but I also constantly remind myself why I'm doing it. What's the point? What's my focus? What's my end goal? What's my end game? So that's what keeps me motivated. It's like people tell me all the time because here lately I've been working like 50, 60 hour weeks for like the past going on what 4 or 5 months. And they're just like, man, you must like to work. I'm like, no, who likes to work, especially if you're not doing something you love to do.
Right.
I said, it's not about that. I said, I have goals. I have things that I want to accomplish, and I have things that I want to do. And I know in order for me to get those things done, I got to do what I got to do, whether I like it or not. And then even when it gets hard, you just got to keep pushing. And it's like I'm huge on. I'm just I got to keep going. There's no, I like to think there's no quit in me. And so even when times get rough, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna keep going. And I like to balance out all that work with fun. Like I said, even if it's something simple as going to a game, watching a game, or going to karaoke, or anything of the sort, anything to balance it out. Because I always gotta, balance the fun with the work to keep me sane. Because too much of one thing is not necessarily good for you. So as long as you got balance in your life, I feel like that's key.
You said karaoke. What's that go-to track for you at the karaoke bar?
Oh man. Lately, uh, I've been on an '80s rock kick
Talk to me,
because
man. Talk to me.
uh,
I'm an
so
I'm an 80s kid at heart. I'm an 80s kid. I'm a fanatic, mate. What's your track? I want to hear that track.
man, so I used to do some Journey, but that's a little out my range now.
Okay.
But Brian Adams, I don't know, have you heard of Everything I Do? I do it for you. I
First
I
dance. That was my
I
first
do.
dance. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do that one.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Marx,
Right
Right
here
Here
waiting.
Waiting.
Good track.
I do that one. Uh, I I I mainly do it because honestly, the looks that I get, this black guy up here singing all these '80 rock songs,
Yes.
and not only singing it, but he's killing it, and it's just
Mhm.
like the looks I get is just priceless, and to me, it's very entertaining because I'm just like you already have this this prejudged me, and I'm like, little do you know, I'm a very well-rounded person. I mean, I can sing you some Brian Adams or
Mm,
some Journey or
mm,
some REO Speedwagon,
mm,
but then at the same time, I can sing you some Lionel Richie, some
mm,
Temptations, or some
mm.
Smokey Robinson.
What?
But like I said, it don't stop there though, because I can sing some Boys to Men or some New Edition or some Jodeci, but I even push it a little further and sing some NSYNC or some Backstreet Boys or some Ed Sheeran.
Oh,
So it just really depends on the mood. Like a lot of times, me and my friends will go out and we'll be like, "Well, what's the theme for the night?" Are we doing boy bands? Are we doing R&B groups? 90s R&B, 80s rock, 80s R&B? It's it's a challenge and it's fun. It really is.
Okay, I'm coming to Iowa and we're gonna find some, and we're gonna, for me, and I don't do karaoke because I'm just not that guy. But we find a spot and gonna break off some, pour some sugar on me because that I've always been a Def Leppard person. That's my
Oh,
pour some sugar on me, and that'll throw some people off because they're like, "You're not doing Biggie or something? They expect you to rap. You come out."
nope. Let's do it. Let's do it. 100%. Or look, or some Bon Jovi too. I'm with that too.
I'm a New Yorker, man. I don't know. I could dip into some Billy Joel because I grew up in Long Island, so I don't know where I don't know how you go there, but we could we
Uh,
could we could mess with some people. I'll tell you that right now. Between me and you,
hey, hey, we can let's do it. I listen. No, I'm all for it. It sounds like a good time to me. I tell you what. I know once I talk to Morgan, she gonna be all in because she's just ever since I brought her on the karaoke scene, she going.
what's
But
up?
yeah,
What's
man,
up?
let's
I'm just gonna
let's.
wait for it to stop snowing, but then I'll come through when the
Hey, I understand. I understand. I understand. I get it. But I mean, it does get just as hot in the summertime as cold as it get in the winter. So we unfortunately get the best of both worlds. We get the hundreds,
Mm,
and then we get the negatives. So
okay.
yeah.
Last question. Last question.
All right. Fire away.
Yes. So one thing while talking to men, and we have a lot going on in our lives, a lot of emotion, a lot of struggles, and a lot of us, we kind of keep it inside because that's kind of what we're raised to do or we're expected to do.
Right.
My question for you is this.
Hmm.
Do you have a friend? Do you have somebody? We have to put family away because family will hear things and kind of process things different than a friend would. Do you have a boy right now who you could call, pick up the phone and be like, yo, I did some dumb dumb stuff. I did some dumb ish. I don't even know why I did it. I don't understand what happened. So a friend of yours who would listen to you, who would agree with you and be like, yes, B, that was stupid. I don't know why you did that. But you would be comfortable enough to talk to, who would listen, hear everything that you have to say. And when you were done, you feel good. Like, do you have a friend who you could lay your problems at their feet and feel comfortable doing it, knowing that what you said to them stays there? Do you have that kind of compadre in this world?
Oh, yes, more than one actually, more than one. I have, I would say probably four,
That's awesome.
four, and it's crazy because it's actually two women and it's two guys that I can talk to them about any and everything, and just as real as I'm gonna be with them, they're gonna return that same energy to me, and even make me stop and think like, okay, even though I thought I might have been right, they always come with another perspective, and it makes me stop. And I'm like, okay, you know what? You might be right. And as much as sometimes it kind of pains me to admit that I'm wrong, because I be feeling fairly confident that I'd be right 90% of the time. But no, yes, I do.
That's
I
good.
definitely do.
That's good.
And I feel as if they have that same thing with me as well.
A lot of these men that I talked to didn't have that. We know a lot of people, but we don't know a lot of people. I've got friends is a word we kind of throw around, but real
Right.
somebody who's been with you through the thick and thin, who's known you a long time, who know, like Biggie would say, know where all the bodies are buried, the keys
Right.
safe, who know it all. Those are the people. And a lot of men don't have that. So the fact that you have several is excellent because you always have somebody who you feel safe enough to talk to. And inevitably,
Yes.
that's really one of the most important things that we men have somebody we feel safe talking to,
Yes.
but that we not
Yes.
just hold it in. And I'm glad that you have several because that's a wonderful thing. And the fact that you have two women, that's even better. Like you get all the perspectives. Your boys will say something stupid to you, whatever. Your girls will be like, blah, 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 whatever. You know you did that girl wrong, right? You know you did that, so stupid. You know that, whatever. It's all in those perspectives that just makes us
Yeah.
people in general. So I'm so glad that you have that many outlets. And thank you for answering all the questions here on the prize. I appreciate it.
Oh man, thank you for having me. This has been a joy. I've really enjoyed it. I love having good conversation, and this has been a great conversation. I appreciate the invite.
Oh, and I'm glad you came. Before I'm going to get you a minute where you can tell us where people can find your podcast and you. We got into this music. I have a real problem because I'm a music head, and music and movies always comes ahead. And you were talking about relationships and stuff for you. You ever heard the song "Love Under New Management"? Mickey Howard.
Mm-mm.
When you're done, I want you to listen to it because I kind of feel like it's you. It's like you're on the way. It's a great song. It's an 80s R&B track. You'll as soon as the horns hit, you'll feel it. But
Okay,
but
okay.
when I hear you talking about relationship and what's coming for you, I kind of feel like you're there. That song kind of encompasses your experience. I think that's good. But enough about that. Where can people find you and the podcast? Tell people, give us a reason for us to find your podcast so we can get the experience.
Man, well, like I said, the name of the podcast is He Said, She Said Podcast IA. We are on all platforms, from Amazon, Spotify. We're on Apple, Google Podcasts, any and everywhere that you can find a podcast. We are there. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook as well. Please look us up. Check us out. We have two friends who have been friends, childhood friends. They're coming to the table so we can get real to heal. We are having all of those uncomfortable conversations that people are scared to have or don't want to have because you know, they don't want to feel vulnerable. I think we're having all those conversations just to open the line of communication. I feel like we can create stronger bonds by having these conversations and really getting to know ourselves and getting to know what can we do in certain situations to help better ourselves or better our relationship or just better our life. All that. We talk about everything from singlehood to marriage. We talk about mental health. We talk about single parents. We talk about sex. We talk about any and everything. And even if our listeners have topics that they want to hear, we talk about that as well. Everything. We give a he said point of view. We give a she said point of view. We discuss it, and then we walk away having a mutual understanding and just giving that real perspective that some people are scared to have or talk to the opposite sex about. So I mean, I think it's a great thing. We just want people to get real so they can heal, be the best version of themselves in life and in general.
All that information will be in the episode notes, so you can find the He Said, She Said podcast. We were lucky, and it was a pleasure to have you, Mo, on. We had a great conversation. I really enjoyed your vibe, so I was glad to have you on Love is Black. And obviously, I'm even happier that you were here on the prize. So again, thank you for giving me of your time, your positivity, your energy, your grace, everything. Thank you for talking with me. It is very much appreciated.
All right, thanks. So, like I said again, I'm appreciative of the opportunity. I've enjoyed the time speaking with you, and me and Mo will be in touch with you because we want to have you two on our podcast as well, so we can get a married couple's perspective. It's only so much we can talk about as singles. We,
No
we
doubt.
we can say we know some stuff, but we don't
Mhm.
necessarily like. I'm single and never been married. Mo Love's been married before, but even still, you two who have been together and have been together for quite some time, we would
Right.
love to get your perspective and the things that what helped you guys stay together and build and continue to build.
Mhm.
So we will definitely be in talks with you to get that in the works because, like I said, the last conversation we had, it was a great vibe, and we enjoyed it tremendously, and we will definitely want to do it again.
All right. Yeah, we'll be ready. We're waiting. We'll be happy to be on your podcast. We had a ball when you were with us. So thank you to you. Thank you to listeners. Thank you to watchers. Man, I'm going to leave you with this. These are just conversations. These are moments in time to be open, vulnerable, available, emotionally available, just for yourself. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with following B's lead and being selfish. You are allowed to take care of yourself. You're allowed to make sure that you are good and not for anybody else, not yet, but just be good for you. When you are taken care of, we can help other people better. Like I say all the time, before you can help other people, you got to pull your mask down first. So you take care of yourself and you can help the people around you. You can help your family, your friends. You'll do better at work. You'll be better in relationships. You'll be better in everything. So be selfish. Take care of you because you deserve it.
That's 100.
Damn right. I will leave you with this. It's been a pleasure. Another great guest. Never forget, men, ever forget that you are the man and you are the prize. I'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Have a good one.